welcome to day 3. So what we have covered in day 1 is we are gradually trying to build up our awareness, trying to reduce our distractions, etc. The first one is very simple question that I requested you to ask yourself: what am I thinking about right now? Over the course of the day, the more you practice this question, especially when your mind is not at the right place, you can easily shut down and be less reactive, because sometimes I'll be doing something and I won't even realize that I'm doing things that's not really important tasks. But by just asking myself, what am I thinking right now? What am I doing right now as a regular thing on an ongoing basis over the course of the day, you are going to course correct yourself. And that's an important technique. That's an important tactic. That's what we found out last time. And day 2, we then went on to just say, okay, it tells me that I'm not, okay, what am I thinking? What am I doing right now? Yeah, it brings me to course correct, but how can I bring to the attention? Because at the end of the day, attention is what takes us forward. So we learned this important principle yesterday, day 2. Your attention is by far the single most property in your whole life, which means you will never sell your property for nothing, and you'll never give up. That's close things. If we are so protective of our assets, of things, why are we not so protective of our attention? Again, it's another habit over the course of your day. Note down distractions that you are going through. Is it just distracting because an email pops up, you suddenly goes back checking your email, or a WhatsApp message lands, or a text message comes in, or Facebook feeds, Messenger, I don't know, whatever you do, just to see what distractions happening at the day to day, and be more aware of the attention. That's what we focused on yesterday, which is like, if who is taking away my attention, it's just me or it's somebody else. If so, just be more conscious, aware. That's what we did yesterday. Again, over the course of a day, gradually go through the process. And box breathing is something that we do. Again, we are not going to do this now. We will go through, because that's why we overran by 5-6 minutes last session. But have this as a regular habit. Have this as a regular habit to just say every now and then, just try to increase your breathing, because I can inhale for 3-4, but I will exhale very quickly, 1-2. So it's you gradually improve the ability of inhaling, holding, exhaling, pausing, then moving to the next ones, right? 1, 2, 3, 4, right? Bring that to your habit as well. So those are the little things that we tested. Again, I'm not going to teach you how to breathe and other things. It's there for you, you just go. So today's key message. This is interesting because this is another way of looking into things. Yes, we know what's happening in what am I thinking right now? We know I need to protect my attention. But what generally happens is, so many things bothers us, right? Every problem we face, everything that we do, sometimes it's a problem, sometimes it's anything could bother us, right? It could be the weather, it could be some family member, so it could be health, it could be any other relationship, work, something in the news, some failures, boredom, anything, right? And the other important thing is, what bothered you last month, last year, last week, yesterday might not be the same thing that will be bothering you today. So you might be like, imagine 5 years ago, you might have spent a whole 6 months thinking, I was so bothered by that thing. When I lost my father, it really bothered me that whole year, right? I was in so much anxiety, especially when he was not feeling well. But 7 years now, when he's no more, am I bothered of my father? No, but there is something else that has taken over that place, and that's a natural progress. But what I want you to do now is just to write down. This is another way of looking into this. What's bothering you? What's bothering you in general? Your child, work, your line manager, the proposal, deadline, whatever is it. Just have your piece of paper and then note down that notepad that you had, write the question, what is bothering you, and write down 1, 2, 3, as many. What's bothering you? And once you have written it, let me know in the chat that you have written it. What is bothering you? It could be anything. And if you have written, add it in the chat that you have done. Perfect. You're very quick. Nice. So what's bothering? Again, what bothers you? It's very unique to you, right? It's not the same for others. That's again is something that we need to learn. Again, all humans have bothers, right? Everybody around us have bothers in our life. When I say all humans, I think all living beings have some bothers, right? Animals, plants, everything. But without knowing, you also create your own problems, because sometimes, especially when you don't have much to do, when you're bored, you might find a new hobbies interest, or you might end up creating your own problem. You might start to overthink something, right? And this is important. I just want you to take the bother that you have, and I just want you to switch it with this one, right? This is a switch off. If this didn't bother me, what would I be doing? Right? I know this is bothering me at the moment. Your bother is not actually going to solve the problem, is it? You are just thinking about it. You're emotional, mentally, you are draining. Ask yourself, if this didn't bother me, what would I be doing? And write it down in the response. Below the bother, ask this question. If this didn't bother me, what would I be doing? What would I be doing? If you have completed, add in the chat that you have completed. If this didn't bother me, what would I be doing? I'm sitting and thinking, overthinking, this really disturbs me. I need to go out to get some fresh air. I need to do this, I need to do that. Assuming this isn't even happening, this is not even a bother, what would you be doing? Right? This is a big psychological switch. Only people who have, it's a practice. Again, everything that we have been doing is we are actually working on our muscle, the brain muscle, the emotional muscle, to just make it happen. So you are being bothered by this, right? So I told my son, I'll give an example. I told my son the same thing because he was watching phone yesterday, playing some FIFA games, and he was doing his homework. When my wife reviewed the homework at the very end, again, 6 were correct, 4 were wrong. So I was advising him, why do you get distracted? Why can't you get this done and get your homework done? Then you watch. I told him his response, Daddy, your pep talk is so boring. Boom, straight talk. Your pep talk is so boring. That really bothered me. Because it's because these kids grow up with gadgets, and it's natural for them to be much more distracted than us. So again, if this didn't bother me, what would I be doing, right? Yesterday my plan was to make a different type of food. I went on to do that, but again, I then had a conversation with him today morning. So every time you get bothered, ask yourself, if this didn't bother me, what would I be doing? Because bothering is not going to solve the problem. And the important thing is, the moment you start to switch by doing this, the moment you move away from bother into that action, getting into the motion, helps you to get away from the bother. You have to practice it more and more to go through this. Whenever you're bothered, ask this question. Ask this question to your bother. If I hadn't been bothered in this situation, what would I have done instead? Which means there are so many other opportunities, there are so many other things that you could have done, but because you're bothered, because you've fallen on this pothole, because you've fallen on this thing, you're stuck. The more you think about opportunities, the more you'll come away from the bother. So you suddenly realize that all problems in your life is made up of 90% of bothers, right? But these bothers also stops us from doing positive things. So you need to start to trust in this question, and you need to, then you will gradually will trust in the answers, right? And primarily what we are doing here is by turning one negative emotion, which is your bother, into positive emotion, which is what would I have been done instead? You are not going to replace a bother with another bother, right? You're not going to say, oh my God, I'm so bothered about the weather. I'm so bothered about the strikes in the UK. So now I'm going to be bothered. The coffee machine is going to work for me or not. You will never going to replace a bother with another bother. Very, very rarely you do that, which means most of the time you will be moving away from something negative, which is a bother, into something positive, which is your positive journey. And it kinds of free yourself from the burden. So this is the key message for today. So every time ask yourself, what's bothering me? Once it bothers me, then you said, okay, if I'm not bothered, what would I have been doing? I really forgot. I should have done that. I should have done this, right? But what happens here is, now you need to start to own 90%. This is the thing. This is a very interesting observation, right? So nobody's going to solve your problem. Nobody is going to solve your problem. You have to solve your own bother. You have to solve your own thing. But by mastering these bother questions, you will be starting to own 90% of your bother, right? You can only do what you can do. Sometimes you might be very good in solving somebody's problem, but when you try to solve your own problem, you can't solve the problem. But still, you still need to explain your problem to somebody, and not everybody who listens to you will be able to solve the problem. So very, 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 very second important point here is you need to, you need to improve your ability to solve your own bother. That's your 90%. Each individual takes care of their 90%. And then you just need to ask someone you trust, which is what we are going to do in Coffee Connection next week. This is bothering me. What do you think you can do to help me, right? But there is another question for this, which will come back next week. You simply, so that person is going to ask you, okay, if this didn't bother you, what would you be doing? Means you still need to answer that question first. Then collectively, you're going to cooperate with the other person and you're going to transform it together, right? So this is where trust comes in. You trust your answer, you trust your question, you get the answer, but then you get into the next 10%. And this 10% is not this group. It's not going to be this group. Avoid bothered crowds, because you are going to find these people in your life, right? People will always complain, but they don't do anything about what's bothering them. And the moment you go to them, they are going to pass the negative energy to you, right? In the chat, you could say, do you have at least one person in your life who is like this? Just one person, at least one. We all have, right? There will always be this bothered crowd who will be keep on complaining around anything and everything, but they will never do anything to solve this. So when you see them, what will you ask them? If this is not bothering you, what would you be doing, right? But again, you ask them a question, they will move to, you know what, you don't know my problem. My problem, they'll just go on. So they will never go and solve the problem. but they will continue to add these problems. Yes, you just need to cut these people in your life, as Lydia just mentioned, but you need to be more aware of it, right? But exactly, when somebody tells you from now on, when somebody tells you, I have this problem, don't be a good friend in listening everything. Just immediately ask them, okay, right, I understand your problem, but you can never understand somebody's problem because their problem is unique to them, right? Their experiences, what they're going through is unique to them. You can simply say, okay, I appreciate it. If this doesn't bother you, what would you be doing? I'll be doing that. Then why are you not doing it? Just go and do that. Which means you're moving them away into motion state and they're moving away from the bother. When they move away from the bother, they're moving away from the problem state into different state that enables them to solve the problem, right? So this, be aware of the bother crowd. So first 90% is totally with you. The next 10%, you just need to have people who are willing to ask you this question, which is this group. And once you are in this group, you can ask that. But once you're outside this group, it could be a brother, sister, friend, colleague, anybody whom you trust. Train them with this and then work with them, but avoid the bother crowd, right? As I mentioned here, group of people telling each other what's bothering them isn't going to accomplish anything, right? You can sit in coffee chat, you can sit and do a lot of things around it, but if they just keep on dumping their garbage on you, and if you get all their garbage in yourself, it will start to bother you for no reason, right? Yeah, I feel the same. Yeah, that used to bother me as well. You don't need to go through that, right? So you take responsibility for what bothers you, then you also help bothered people to take responsibility of what bothering to them, right? Simple question. This is the simple question. So I just want you to take a step back and then just see, this is a little thing that we learned today, right? An hour ago, you have a lot of bothers, and a month ago you had a lot of bothers. A week ago you had bothers. Afternoon, straight after this, you'll be having a bother, right? But now you have this mindset shift, as they call it, right? So far, you have hated your bothers, but from now on, you're going to promise me that each one of them is going to be a new friend, because they are going to remind you what are the opportunities that you are missing in your life, right? Because this is it's not a fanciful trick. May seem like it, but this is one of the crucial skills in your life, right? If you need to take a step back from this problem. Okay, if I'm not solving this problem, what else will I be doing? Yes, we are not running away from a problem. Remember, you're just stepping back from the problem and you're just asking yourself, okay, it's bothering me. Bothering is not going to solve anything. Okay, if I'm not doing this, what will I do next? Okay, I need to call this person. I need to send this email. I need to go and do this action, whatever is it, right? You don't have to, again, you don't have to do this, and at the same time you can't force anyone else to do this, right? All you have to do from now on is to make that conscious switch by taking responsibility of your bothers, because your coach, anyone, will not be able to solve the problem for you. They can only enable you with tools like this, but you still need to go and solve your own bothers. So now you have the third rule next to you. So you have one bother, go back to the next bother, go back to the next bother. Over the course of the day, whenever you find anything that's bothering you, I want you to ask this simple question. Something bothers you. Fine. Ask yourself, this didn't bother me, what would I be doing? I would have called my son. I would have done that project. I would have listened to some music. You visualize a new course of action and you complete that action, right? So it's as simple as that, but it's not going to be immediate. This takes practice. And I can promise you, most will not do this. And as somebody who's telling you this, I won't do this all the time. That's okay. Because we all go through certain things bothers you so deeply, it's going to be very hard for you to step back and ask this question. It's fine. You just need to go through it. Okay, fine. See how far you can go through it, but then try to come back very quickly. There are certain things you will be able to come out quickly. There are certain things might take time. But one or two things bothered me for a long time and I didn't help myself. And that had a knock-on effect. It's only when I learned this around November, December time last year, I was just telling why did I allow this to bother me for a long time, right? So from now on, I just want you to take responsibility of your bothers, ask this very simple question, move to the course of action, because gradually what that means is you'll be surprised. When you were a student, right, what bothered you, it's not bothering you today. Before you got married, whatever bothering you, post married is a different bother, right? The bother just changes. So is it worth the time to give all these minutes to spend on your bother? You have to take your mind out by asking this certain things. Yes, you need to take action. My relationship is broken. It's bothering me a lot. Okay, what would I be doing? Sit down and talk. Is it going to be with us or is it going to be not with us? Move on, stay together. Fine. Next. Right. So I just want you to get to this practice, and again, that journal that you have or the book that you have, the blank page, you have the third one to ask you for. The first one, what am I thinking about right now? Second one, what affects my attention? What's affecting my attention? Right? The distractions, and then you are going to be aware of those distractions. And the third one is what's bothering me, and write your bother and follow this 4-stage ingenuity. That's the thing for today. And the more you are self-aware, more over the course of day, and also be more aware of the people around you. If they are coming out with a problem, you don't need to make them fine. As you know, it's your problem. So I will help you to solve your problem. Ask this question, ask them, okay, now this is done. Then you just go to the next step, right? But you can't just sit and listen to them for 2-3 hours, get their bother as your bother, right? Be very, very careful. So that's the high level pointer, which I thought I will share that to you. And what we'll do here is, as you always wanted, we'll close the session with a short meditation. And again, this is a small one, 5 minutes, and I think this will help us to close the session. Thank you for joining today. And after the close of the session, it's end. So please be more aware of what's happening, what's bothering you, and gradually you build it up, because once we cut down the clutter, then we could add more. Then we could add goal setting, time blocking, ambition, scorecard, and so many things that's positive that's going to come up. But before that, we need to cut the clutter, because otherwise, where will this go? The new stuff, right? So let's go this one, and just go. Just close your eyes, follow the process.
Take 5. Just take 5. 5 minutes to reset your mind, to calm your nerves, to reflect and unwind. Just 5 minutes. If it feels comfortable to you, take a deep breath in and out. And just bring your focus to your breath. Natural, constant, reassuring. Allow your muscles to relax all throughout your body, releasing the tension in your shoulders, your neck, your arms and legs. Ensure your jaw is unclenched, your hands loose. Releasing all those muscles in your body, and also releasing any of those remaining bothersome thoughts in your mind. Remembering to use this as your time, a time for presence and peace, calm and aware. And if you like, you can repeat after me now. Here and now, I calm my nerves. I rest my mind. I find balance. I find presence. I find peace. Counting 5, 4, 3, 2, 1. And now, if you like, take just another deep and rejuvenating breath in and out. Allow your tensions to melt away. Thoughts of the past, worries of the future, don't let them exist right now. You are simply here, right here, and right now. Enjoying this presence, reminding yourself how nice it can be to let go of the unnecessary baggage and tension of our uncontrolled thoughts. You can rediscover this peace and presence at any time throughout each day. Remember to step back, release, refresh, de-stress, and continue on with a renewed presence and calm. Just a brief 5 minutes or even a 5-second count available to you at any time. Calm and aware.
This message is for UK parents who don't have
Okay, thank you. And that's the end of day 3. Be more aware of the bothers and work around it. And I'll see you tomorrow. The recordings are uploaded every day in the portal. There might be 1 or 2 days. I think day 1 and day 2 has already been uploaded. The videos are in. If you want to catch up with the recording, you can catch up with the recording there. Otherwise, I'll see you tomorrow. As you know, 3 to 3:30 we'll be here. And 4 o'clock we have the session with Victoria Bunk. I hope to see you there. If you haven't registered, join in. Thank you for joining today and see you tomorrow. Take care. Bye.